the breakdown is always crucial in any game, and whoever does get ascendancy there will probably win the game.
Tom, people speak about the Leinster-Northampton games in the Heineken Cup because there was a 40-point turnaround in the space of a week. What do you think you and Northampton team got so right after such a heavy defeat the week before?
I hope Northampton don't mind me saying this. I don't want to give any trade secrets, but that first week I think we got a little bit caught up in the occasion. We brought in a few new things and we talked a lot of detail and everybody had a say. And at the end of the day, all that's irrelevant unless you get into the game early and get it by the scruff of the neck. And we gave Leinster away into the game. We were a little bit standoffish, and they ran riot after that. And once they got that kind of dominance, you're chasing your tail, and you never really catch up. The following week, we went back to basics. We scrapped the playbook to some extent, and we said we're going to make a game of it. And obviously, a huge motivating factor was the hurt we felt from the week before. You're on edge and your pride's at stake, and that's what it comes down to. Rugby's an emotional game, and when you collectively get that out on the field, that's probably 90% of the job done. If we get it wrong on Saturday, if we're standoffish, if we're in awe of the Brian O'Driscolls, the Paul O'Connells, and they get a firm hold of the game, then we'll be in for a long afternoon. If we come out and play with the attitude that we did against New Zealand the first time around in particular, and got straight into the game, and regardless of reputation and number of caps or anything else, we backed ourselves and played with intent and ambition, then we'll be absolutely fine.
Despite England not being in the same situation as Northampton were, given the amount of players that Northampton, I think you got 5 in the matchday squad, Stuart described the Leinster axis to this Ireland team. Can you then, as you've hinted at, learn something about how to approach this game against Ireland from your experiences with Northampton?
I think it's how to approach any game in general. The bigger the game, the simpler it becomes for me. If you get caught up in all of the sideshow of it, the hype, the build-up, the one-on-one battles that everybody will be naming in the build-up to the game, you can get distracted. And I think it's back to basics. Recognising the fundamentals of rugby that win your games. You've got to have a solid defence. You've got to have energy. You've got to get off the line. Your set piece has got to function, and that doesn't mean it being complex. It means it being simple and well drilled. Getting your eye in, winning a couple, and getting yourself on the front foot, winning the game line. All those little things. The second you start throwing miracle passes or thinking you've got to do something out in the ordinary to win the game, you give the opposition a chance to pounce, and that's what we've got to get right.
Talking about the basics then, do you think England can have a bit of a psychological, physical edge over Ireland, given what happened last year? You perhaps out-battled them in what was a really tough conditions.
It can work both ways. I mean, obviously we know what it takes, and hopefully we'll be able to replicate it, if not go one better. We've obviously got confidence in ourselves because I think we're in a better place now than we were then, and we did a good job on that day. By the same token, they'll be feeling hurt from it. They'll be looking to right the wrongs and set the story straight. So they might have a little bit of extra motivation from that. So it can work either way, and you've just got to get on top on the day.
You said perhaps you don't want to focus on individuals, but Peter O'Mahony seems to be playing well in the Six Nations, and Ireland seems to get a lot of energy from his work at the breakdown. Is that something you've spoken about, and is someone an individual like that an important person to target?
Yeah, I guess that looking at the Ireland side at the moment, he's probably their barometer in terms of energy, in terms of work rate and tackle count. He's very abrasive around the breakdown. He makes good decisions, gets himself in good shape over the ball, but also recognises when not to waste a bullet and to keep himself alive in a defensive line. We've got to be dynamic. We've got to get numbers to the lines and make them make decisions. We've got to have movement out the back so that their defenders can't line up tacklers and get hold of people, and so they can't gang tackle in numbers. We'll nullify some of their individuals like Peter O'Mahony if we do that well collectively. And if we don't, if we're one-out runners and we present easy targets, then as I say, they'll have a field day.
So do you target individuals? Do you feel that it's a job of yourselves and Chris Robshaw to deal with Peter O'Mahony and Chris Henry at the breakdown? You always look at your opposite numbers, and you always have an element of rivalry and competition there. But it's never a case that whoever wins out of myself and Peter O'Mahony wins the game. It's 15 on 15, and you find yourself out in the wide channels, and Brian O'Driscoll's as good as anybody else over the ball anyway. It's collective threat that they have, and it's a collective intensity that we need to bring. I can't just charge around hitting every ruck in the game thinking I'm going to win the game that way. I have to make sure I'm not wasted, that I'm in the right place at the right time, whether that's ball carrying, clearing a ruck or whatever. Although, having said that, the breakdown is always crucial in any game,
and whoever does get ascendancy there will probably win the game.
In terms of emotional boosts, after having 2 away games, what does it mean to you back at Twickenham and in front of the home crowd?
Yeah, I can't wait to play back at Twickenham. It's been a little while now, and you know, it's a really exciting place to play rugby. You know, turning up, pulling into the West Car Park with the fans all out there with the picnics going mad and cheering the bus on. You know, I think I've said before, I always like to take my headphones off and soak up some of the noise as we make our way from the bus to the stadium. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to getting out there in front of our fans and hopefully making them proud.